Hey everyone, in this video we are going to take the poem Aunt Jennifer's Tigers. It's a poem written by Adrienne Rich. Before we start discussing the text of the poem, we need to understand some very important aspects related to the background of the poem. The first thing that is very important in concern to this poem is the concept of feminism. Feminism is the most important theme in this poem. Feminism began in the 1960s, first as a social movement. Later on, it was also adopted as a literary movement. Feminism is all about the demand for equal rights for the women. In almost every society in the world, the male members used to be dominant as compared to the female members. The females in every society used to enjoy very less rights as compared to the male counterparts. So that is why ultimately voices began to be raised against gender based discrimination, which led to the concept which was given the term of feminism. It became a very important concept in the field of literature, and this poem is a very clear example of what feminism presents in all the works concerned to it. Feminist works basically expose the oppression of women by men, and by expression of this oppression, they demand equal rights for women. They oppose this sort of oppression. One more very clear aspect of feminism is that the oppression depicted in such works, which are based on feminism, generally shows marital relationship to be the basis for gender based discrimination. It is believed that the relationship between husband and wife is the most common example of the gender based discrimination or the domination of women by the men. Another important thing related to the background of this poem that we need to understand is the concept of tigers, the term tigers that is part of the title as well. Now, the title says that the poem is about Aunt Jennifer's tigers, which gives us an impression that Aunt Jennifer is a lady who is probably a hunter or somebody who has domesticated tigers, but it is not so. The tigers that find mention in the title are actually the tigers embroidered by Aunt Jennifer. Now, Aunt Jennifer is very fond of embroidery. So, embroidery is making designs with thread on a piece of cloth. So, she draws, she prepares these designs, and in each of her designs, there always is a tiger. Now, the poem presents the qualities of the tigers that could be seen in Aunt Jennifer's designs. The qualities of the tigers have been depicted with a particular purpose in mind. The positive qualities of the tigers are in opposition to the basic qualities shown by Aunt Jennifer. Now, Aunt Jennifer is very meek. She is not able to oppose her husband even when her husband's attitude is very negative towards her. On the other hand, the tigers are very dominant, they are not afraid of anybody. So, that is why this contrast highlights the condition of Aunt Jennifer in her married life. The tigers have many different symbolic significances in the poem. At some points, they depict one thing, and at some other points, they become symbol of another thing. Now, Aunt Jennifer has been struggling a lot in her married life. She faces domination of her husband. She faces very wrong attitude, negative attitude on part of her husband, and this gets mentioned through the mention of the tigers. So let us move on to the poem now. The poem is very short. It is just 12 lines long. There are just 3 stanzas, 4 lines each. The first stanza says, Aunt Jennifer's tigers prance across a screen. Now, this stanza is all about the qualities that could be identified in the tigers. The poet identifies a lot of positive qualities in the tigers with the purpose to show the qualities that are missing in Aunt Jennifer, because of which she continues to tolerate her husband's negative attitude, her husband's domination. So, Aunt Jennifer's tigers, that is the tigers that Aunt Jennifer draws in her designs, they prance across a screen. The word screen here can have two different meanings. One, it could mean the piece of cloth that has been put in the frame so it looks like a screen. So, Aunt Jennifer's tigers can be seen prancing across the screen. That means they can be seen very active, they can be seen to be very lively. But the word screen can also mean an obstacle. So, in that case, this line means that if any obstacle comes in the way of these tigers, they simply jump across that obstacle. That means they are unstoppable, they cannot be stopped by any obstacle. Bright topaz. Now, the tigers are comparable to bright topaz. They are as beautiful as topazes. Topaz is a precious stone like a diamond, and its color is quite comparable to the color of the tigers. Denizens of a world of green. Denizens can roughly mean the residents. So the tigers are residents of a world of green. They are residents of the wild. They are wild themselves. So generally the word wild is used in a negative sense, but here it has been used in a positive sense because it has been used as an antonym, as opposite to domesticated. And any animal that has been domesticated has many restrictions on it, while an animal that is wild is free from all restrictions, can go anywhere it wants. So that is why the tigers are denizens of a world of green. That means they are free from all sort of restrictions. They do not fear the men beneath the tree. They are fearless. They are not afraid of anybody, not even the men. Now, the word man has been mentioned here deliberately because for Aunt Jennifer, the most fearful thing is her husband. So, for her, the most fearful thing is man, and tigers are not afraid even of men, which shows that the tigers are absolutely fearless. Although the term the man beneath the tree may also mean a hunter with a gun who is probably trying to hunt the tigers are not afraid even of a man who is ready to hunt the tiger. They pace in sleek, chivalric certainty. Now, this one line can mention four different qualities of the tigers. Firstly, the tigers pace. Pace means they move in good speed. So, it shows their liveliness once again, their activity. They are sleek. That means they are beautiful. They look absolutely wonderful. Chivalric. The word chivalric generally means a combination of respect for women and bravery. So, here for tigers, it has been used in the sense of bravery. The tigers are brave and they are certain, they are determined, they are sure of themselves, they are never confused. So, all these qualities that have been mentioned in this stanza actually point towards the negative tendencies of Aunt Jennifer, because of which she continues to tolerate her husband's domination. So let us sum up once again the things that have been mentioned here. Firstly, the tigers that have been mentioned are the part of designs that have been made by Aunt Jennifer on her cloth, where she does embroidery. The positive qualities of the tigers, they describe the qualities which are missing in Aunt Jennifer. So here the qualities of the tigers become symbol of the qualities that are missing in Aunt Jennifer, the qualities that Aunt Jennifer wants, needs, so that she could oppose the negative attitude of her husband. Now, these are the qualities that have been summed up in the stanza. Prance across screen, which means they can cross any hurdle. Bright topaz, they are attractive and handsome. Denizens of the world of green, they are wild, which means they are free. They are free from restrictions. They are not domesticated. Do not fear. So, there is no fear in their mind from anybody at all. Aunt Jennifer is afraid of her husband, and tigers are not afraid even of man. They are sleek, chivalric, and certain. That means they are beautiful, brave, and determined. Now, if we compare this to Aunt Jennifer, then how is Aunt Jennifer's life in comparison to that of the tigers? Then we can very clearly see that Aunt Jennifer is unable to fight against hurdles, because the biggest hurdle in her life is her husband's negative attitude. She has never shown any tendency to oppose it. She is leading a very unattractive life. So, when the tigers are said to be like bright topaz, when they are said to be sleek, chivalric, that means Aunt Jennifer's life is absolutely opposite to theirs, because there is nothing beautiful or attractive in her life. She is not free at all. So the tigers are denizens of world of green, but Aunt Jennifer in a sense is domesticated. She is facing lots of restrictions from her husband's side. That is why she is full of fear. So she is not brave at all, and she is far from being experiencing beautiful things in her life. She is absolutely meek. That means she is not at all capable of expressing herself and to show her opposition to her husband's attitude. In the second stanza, we are told that Aunt Jennifer's fingers, fluttering through her wool, find even the ivory needle hard to pull. Here it is told that when Aunt Jennifer pulls the needle to prepare her designs, even that thing becomes very hard for her. When she pulls the needle out of the cloth, this is a very simple task, but even in doing this simple task, her fingers flutter, her hands shake. This is because she has been under continuous mental stress because of her husband's domination, and that mental stress has been so strong that it has started affecting her physical performance as well. So, even doing something which is very simple, that is pulling the needle out of the cloth, and it is also something which she likes to do. Embroidery is the only thing that Aunt Jennifer does according to her own wish, and something that she likes. So, even in doing something that she likes, even in following her hobby, she is not comfortable in doing a very simple work. So, it shows the intensity of the mental stress that she has been going through in her married life. The massive weight of Uncle's wedding band sits heavily upon Aunt Jennifer's hand. Now, why is Aunt Jennifer's fingers fluttering? Because the wedding band, now generally it is called wedding ring. Here, the word band has been used deliberately because the wedding ring has acted like a band to restrict Aunt Jennifer to her husband. So that is why the wedding ring, which generally is a symbol of a very nice relationship, actually for Aunt Jennifer becomes a massive weight. It sits very heavily on her hand. So she always feels that this married life is like a burden for her. And because of that burden, she faces enormous mental stress, which ultimately leads to causing such problems for her that even when she is performing a simple job in her life, she finds it very difficult to execute it. So this stanza, these lines, they describe the effect of the torture that she has faced because of her husband's domination over her. The intensity is so much that even the only thing that she likes, that is embroidery, the only thing which she is free to do according to her wish, even in performing this task, she is not comfortable. She finds it very difficult to do this simple task of pulling the needle. The mental harassment has led problems in her physical activities also. So the mental harassment is not is not restricted only to her mind. The wedding ring, which is generally supposed to be a beautiful symbol, it is a symbol of a beautiful relationship, a companionship which should be satisfactory, a companionship which should be sort of relaxing, actually is symbolic of restrictions for her. That is why the wedding ring becomes banned and it becomes very heavy for her. So, direct words have been used by the poet to point towards the negativity of the relationship that Aunt Jennifer experiences with her husband. In stanza 3, we are told that when Aunt is dead, when she would be dead, her terrified hands will lie, still ringed with ordeals she was mastered by. Even when she is dead, she won't be free from the ordeals, the ways in which her husband used to dominate her. Her husband used to master her. That means the poet is trying to say that the effect of this domination is so strong that even after her death, she won't be free from this restrictions, she won't be free from this domination, and all her life is all about the domination that she has faced at her husband's hands. So, her life would be summed up as the domination of her husband. However, when Aunt is dead, the tigers in the panel that she made will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. So when she is dead, even when she is dead, the tigers in the designs that she has prepared will go on prancing, proud and unafraid. They would go on living their life just like that. They would still be attractive, they would still be proud, they would still be unafraid. So here the tigers become symbol of art. The poet is trying to say that the designs that Aunt Jennifer has made, they are representative of artistic qualities, they are representative of artistic works. And a general belief is that man is temporary, man dies, man is mortal, but art is permanent. So even after Aunt Jennifer's death, she would have left something in the world which would continue even after her death. So the tigers become symbol of art. But here the tigers also become symbol of man, because the poet is also trying to say that even if Aunt Jennifer is dead, her husband won't get affected. He won't feel sorry for her even if she dies, and he would continue living his life in the same dominant manner even after she dies. Aunt Jennifer becomes symbol of all the women, and the tigers become symbol of all the men. So man is not affected by the problems of the women. They do not have any sympathy for the women. So that is what the poet is probably trying to say. So to sum up the stanza, firstly, the effect of oppression by her husband is so strong that it would never come to an end. Even when she is dead, her problems won't come to an end. Her identity is only how her husband treated her. So after her death, she would be remembered only for the way in which her husband had total control over her. The tigers will remain unaffected even if she dies. So the tigers become symbol of man who does not care for women, the problems that the women face uh, because of the man's dominant attitude are something that the man is not concerned to. The man is not affected by how the women feel because of his dominant attitude. The tigers also become symbol of art, as I have mentioned. So a theme that comes from these final lines of the poem is that art is permanent. Value of art never comes to an end, even when the artist is dead. So man is mortal, but art is immortal. So her artistic creations will stay with us even when Aunt Jennifer is dead. Now, as we discussed at the very beginning, that the tigers have different symbols in this poem. So they have different symbolic significance at different points. At one point, the tigers symbolize the qualities which are missing in Aunt Jennifer. So she could not stand against oppression of her husband because these are the qualities that are missing in her, the qualities that have been mentioned as the qualities of the tigers. The tigers also become symbol of ideal women. Now modern women who has got affected by the concept of feminism and has started raising her voice against the male domination, against the gender based discrimination, has these qualities which are similar to the qualities of tigers. The tigers that are part of the designs made by Aunt Jennifer also are symbolic of a way that Aunt Jennifer uses to vent out her feelings. Now, she could not say anything against her husband. She could never express her opposition for the domination of her husband, but still, she has to vent out her feelings in some way. So she has found this way of doing it, that she makes these designs, and each of her designs she includes a tiger, which is a very strong animal, and she gets satisfied by showing the strength of these tigers in her designs. So she is simply trying to find some sort of satisfaction in her designs. So that also is a symbol that the tigers play in this poem. The tigers definitely are symbols of art also, because they are part of the designs that Aunt Jennifer has prepared on the cloth. So they in a way represent all works of art. And in the final stanza, the tigers also become symbol of man, because the man owns all the qualities that are owned by tigers. That is why man is able to dominate women, and also man is not concerned with the conditions, the feelings, and the problems of the women caused by his domination. There are some other symbols also in the poem. For example, Aunt Jennifer represents women in general. So the poet is giving universalization to this theme, that women have to face domination at the hands of man, particularly in the married life. Another very important symbol here is Aunt Jennifer's oppression. When her husband is dominating her, that shows that all women are getting dominated by their husbands and are facing almost the similar situations as Aunt Jennifer is facing. Her torture is symbolic of the torture faced by most of the women in their married life. Marital relationships here, here show that this is a sort of relationship which is a burden for women, because husbands always show domination, and they do not try to understand women, they do not give rights to the women to live their life according to their own wish. So that is all about the poem, about the text of the poem. So here are some important questions which can be asked for 2 marks or 3 marks as short answer questions. So first question can be, why does Aunt Jennifer use tigers in her designs? Firstly, to vent out her feelings, because she is not able to oppose her husband, but she is full of frustration because of that. She is full of mental stress because of that. So she tries to vent out her feelings by making designs there, which include tigers, because tigers are strong animals, and she gets satisfied by representing tigers in her designs. There can be any number of questions that could be formed from any text. So these are just some examples that this kind of questions can be asked. Why does the poet describe tiger's qualities in the first stanza? She describes the tiger's qualities so that she could show those qualities in contrast to Aunt Jennifer's nature, and to suggest why she has to face domination at her husband's hands. No, she faces the domination because she lacks these qualities. How does Aunt Jennifer contrast with the tigers? All the positive qualities that make the tigers attractive beings are missing in Aunt Jennifer, and that is why she could not oppose her husband's domination. What is the relationship between Aunt Jennifer's oppression at her husband's hands and her tigers? We can mention two kinds of relationship here. One is that Aunt Jennifer is missing the qualities that are very common to the tigers. So that is why she has to face oppression at her husband's hands. And another relationship is what we discussed as answer to the first question, that Aunt Jennifer finds a sort of relaxation from the oppression of her husband by making designs including tigers. Why is her wedding ring a burden for Aunt Jennifer? Because in her relationship, in her married life, she has always faced oppression by her husband, and she has never been satisfied, she has never been relaxed. Where does the poet point towards the value of art? The poet points towards the value of art in the very last lines, where it is told that even after Aunt Jennifer's death, the tigers would continue to live, to be as attractive as they are right now. What is the major theme in the poem? Feminism is the most important theme in the poem. The oppression of women at the hands of man, that is the most important theme. What has made Aunt Jennifer so weak that she could not even pull the needle out of cloth comfortably? The mental stress because of the oppression at her husband's hands is the reason why she has become so weak. Why does the poet specially mention that the tigers are not afraid of man, rather than saying that they are not afraid of anybody at all? In the first stanza, it is mentioned tigers are not afraid of man. So, because for Aunt Jennifer, the most fearful thing is man, her husband. So, that is why it is mentioned that the tigers are not afraid of man. What is the poet's message to women in general? The poet's general message is that the women have to adopt the qualities of the tigers in order to lead a comfortable life, in order to fight against gender based discrimination. Some long answer questions here. Analyze Aunt Jennifer's Tigers as a feminist poem, as we have discussed that feminism is the main theme in the poem. Draw Aunt Jennifer's character sketch. Character sketches are very common questions in literature. They can be asked in different ways. Character sketch means summing up all the qualities of that particular character. The feminists consider marriage as one of the means for gender based oppression. Comment. This should be question number 3 instead of 2. Now, the feminists believe that marriage is the most important relationship where gender based discrimination is to be faced. So, this can be very clearly mentioned on the basis of Aunt Jennifer's life. How is Aunt Jennifer's Tigers a statement on the value of art? The final two lines give us a very important theme that art is permanent and it never loses its value even when the artist is dead. So let us see very quickly some value points related to these questions. Analyze Aunt Jennifer's Tigers as a feminist poem. We can say that this poem exposes the oppression of Aunt Jennifer has to face um, in her married life. This poem presents marriage as a means of oppression of wife because Aunt Jennifer's husband continuously oppresses her. This poem also states the qualities of women that are missing in Aunt Jennifer and which every woman should adopt in order to fight gender based discrimination. There are very clear, direct words used in the poem which show that the uncle's attitude towards Aunt Jennifer is very negative and this attitude is not acceptable. If we talk about Aunt Jennifer's character sketch, then these are some of the qualities that can very clearly be identified in her case. She is meek and submissive because she never opposes her husband's domination. She is weak. She is not able to express her opposition. She is not able to fight against discrimination. She is artistic because she prepares lots of designs. She is a devoted wife. Despite the oppression she has to face, she continues in her married life and she continues to face her husband's domination. Now, as far as marriage considered to be the gender based oppression, this is an open ended question where there are no fixed points that can be used, but we have already discussed the points that can commonly be used. That in her married life, Aunt Jennifer has faced lots of torture, and that is why Aunt Jennifer has reached such a stage that she could not even pull the needle out of the cloth. Now, as far as value of art is concerned, Aunt Jennifer's artistic qualities, where she embroiders these designs, it is very important because firstly the title is based on it, which shows its importance. It is the only source of relief for her. Otherwise, she is constantly facing oppression at her husband's hands, and the only thing that she does according to her own wish and which gives her a sort of relaxation is making these designs. Her art exposes the major theme of the poem, may it be feminism, may it be the permanent value of art. They are both the themes are concerned to Aunt Jennifer's tigers. So that is all for the poem. Thanks a lot. If there is any doubt, you could send your doubts on the email address that has been mentioned in the description. Thank you very much.